All right, we're calling the meeting to order at 7 o'clock. Normally, I do not start the meeting. It's usually the board chair, but after an election, we do start this way until we have a permanent board chair. And so before we go too far, I just would ask Taylor to start us off on the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the first thing we need to do is to adopt the agenda. So I'd ask if there's a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Is that Dick? Oh, Greg? Second? Cindy? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so the motion passes. All right, so the next thing we need to do is do the nomination and appointment for a temporary chairperson. So the temporary chairperson will be responsible for going through the process to end up having the chairperson, the permanent chairperson name. So I will just be collecting names to see if there's anybody who is interested in being, or if anybody would like to be or nominate someone for the temporary chairperson. So is there any nominations for temporary chairperson?
I would like to nominate Melissa Kreml.
Melissa Kreml, is there a second for Melissa Kreml?
Second.
So we have a second for Melissa Kreml. So we don't do all in favor for those. We just select one person we have for temporary chairperson. Is there anybody else who to nominate a temporary chairperson?
I'd like to nominate Gregory Showers.
Greg Showers for temporary chairperson. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second. All right, so we have actually two people now for temporary chairperson, chair people. Is there anybody else to nominate for temporary chairperson? All right, so because there's two folks, we're going to have to go through a ballot to actually vote on who's going to be the temporary chairperson. So Ms. Gudachowskis is passing out a ballot for you to write down the name of the person. So you have two choices, Melissa Kreml or Greg Showers. You write the name of the person you'd like to be temporary chair, and you write your name. Because all the votes tonight are public. They need to be published 48 hours after the meeting. Excuse me. Ms. Gudachowskis is filling in for Ms. Piskorski while she's out on her leave, so that's why she's here tonight, and will be here for a couple of months. Okay, it looks like we have Mr. Greg Showers with 5 votes and Ms. Melissa Kreml with 4 votes. So Greg, you're the temporary chairperson at this point, and so you'll take over the meeting.
The clock is for the purpose for the election of officers for the Plymouth Board of Education. Republicans in the high school principals conference room, Democrats in the room adjacent to the cafeteria.
I'd like to make a motion to convene for the purpose of caucus.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Cindy, aye. Any against, any abstentions? Okay, motion passes. It's now going to election of officers, right? Or caucus?
Going to caucus.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's right. Right, the Republicans had been identified as going into the high school principals conference room.
And the Democrats are in the
And the
cafeteria.
Democrats are, yeah.
Reconvene?
So moved.
Second.
I think Dick. Yeah, Dick moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Okay, now I'm going to open up nominations for a permanent chair. Can I have a nomination for permanent chair, please? Okay, Josiah.
I would like to nominate Walter Seaman for permanent chair.
Second.
Cindy. Any other nominations?
I would like to nominate Melissa Johnson for permanent chair.
Second.
Any other nominations? Any nominations from the floor? Okay, there being no further nominations, paper ballots will be handed out. Can I have a motion to close nominations, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I know.
Yep. Okay, the ballot count is 5 votes for Walt Seaman, 4 votes for Melissa Johnson. Walter Seaman's the new chairman.
At this time, I'd like to open nominations for election of vice chair. Any nominations?
I nominate Karen Colessa.
Second.
Any other nominations? Okay, I make a motion nominations be closed.
Second.
Make a motion that the secretary cast one ballot.
So moved.
Okay, congratulations, Karen. I'd like to open up the nominations at this time for secretary. Yes, sir.
I would like to nominate Michelle Lucian.
Second.
Okay. Any other?
I would like to nominate Melissa Kreml.
Second.
Second, okay. Any other nominations? Okay. Make a motion nominations be closed. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, ballots, please. Okay, with 9 votes cast, we have 5 for Michelle and 4 for Melissa.
At this time, Mr. Chair, may I call for a short recess so we can switch seats?
Sure,
I make a
if you feel,
motion for a
if you,
short recess?
Second the motion.
all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to return to regular session?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? I'd like to say a few words first before we move on to our regular business. First, I would like to recognize Melissa Johnson as her many years of chair and her knowledge that is going to be valued, and her advocacy for all students, especially the special needs students. A lot of people don't realize that when she came on the board, there was a need for special needs students in this town, and she took up the ball and she ran with it for many years. And I would like to applaud her for that. I think she did a good job. Secondly, I'd also like to recognize Jerry Boubinaire, who's a board member who is not with us tonight. He's here. So Jerry, if you'd like to say a few words. Jerry spent many years on the board and hope one day to have him back. So let's give Jerry a round of applause as well. And I would like to say that I am humbled and looking forward to working with every single one of you on this board to continue the good work and to move forward and to make Plymouth better and our school system better. Okay? All right. Approval of minutes. We need to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of October 9th, 2019. I need a motion and a second.
So moved. Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain?
I abstain as well. All right, we have another one, to approve the minutes of the special meeting dated October 16th, 2019. I need a motion and a second on that.
So moved.
All right, second, who seconded? So it's clear, okay. All right. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, item number 7. I understand we have a presentation. We're looking at for out-of-state field trips. We have a presentation on the field trip to Greece, is that correct? Yep. All right, so is this Mrs. Ritchie?
Yep, Mrs. Ritchie, Miss Glenn, and they brought along one of their favorite students as well.
Excellent.
I'm loved.
All right.
So thank you for allowing us to ask for permission to go to our epic Greece trip, which would be in 2021. During April vacation, it would be a 10-day tour. We would leave on Thursday afternoon, roughly around 11:30, to travel to JFK or Newark, wherever we're flying out of. And we would return the following Saturday. And the tour would be paid for by the students. It is included with the hotel, the meals, except for lunch is not included, so the students would have to pay for their own lunch. And we would have to fundraise, or students would cover the cost of the airplane fare, and also tips and gratuities for the tour directors, and I think that's it.
No, not the bus fare.
The bus fare, I'm sorry, the bus fare. Not the airfare, sorry. So we would travel to 5 different cities in Greece, and it's a great opportunity for the students to experience the culture, the cuisine, the architecture, Greek mythology, and it's just a great experience that can't be found in books. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Abby Menzel, who did go to Italy with us last year, and she's just going to tell you a little bit of why it's so important for students to travel.
I found that last year we didn't really see any of different cultures outside of Terryville. It's such a small bubble here, and once we were able to leave, and it gave us such a sense of responsibility to be in a different country too. And it also gave me the motivation to keep my grades up for the whole year. You had to keep your grade above a certain point to go on the trip, so it really gave me that initiative to go after and get help that I needed throughout the year. I also found that going to all the different museums and seeing the different architecture was something I really loved, and now I really want to see the rest of the world while I can. It was just something I think everybody should do at some point in their life.
We also were paired up with a group from Virginia, and some of the students have still kept in touch with, they made friends with the students from Virginia.
We all still talk to them mostly.
Right. So it's a great experience all around. It teaches them independence. Homesick is, part of the deal, but it's good for them because then they appreciate home that much more, I believe, when they get back. So.
I have a question, Mrs. Ritchie.
Sure.
Are you doing the 4-day cruise in the middle of the trip for this one?
No.
Okay.
No, we're not.
All right.
We are on a boat, I believe, to go to one of the islands, but no, it's not.
Okay.
It's mostly on land.
All right. Well, as the mom of two students who have taken combined 3 trips through Terryville High School, I can't say enough wonderful things about all of our teachers who organize these trips. It's just an amazing opportunity for our students, and I would highly recommend that we vote to approve this trip.
Have we ever been to Greece before?
No.
Well, you've never been.
We've
but
never.
The school has.
The school has.
Yeah.
School has?
Oh, the
Yes.
school has. Oh,
Jameson
yes,
went
yes,
this
yes.
past
Shannon
summer.
Erickson went
Yeah.
during the summertime, I'm sorry.
Excellent. Any other discussion? No? All right, I'll entertain a motion and a second to approve the field trip.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion on the motion?
Have fun.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No abstentions? Congratulations.
Thank
Have
you
fun.
so much. Thank
you.
you.
All right, and I think we have another presentation from Mr. Keene, who's looking to go to Boston, Mass.
Hello, everyone. I'm here to present an out-of-state field trip for the music department. I have two outstanding band students here to assist me, Jesse Valentine and Olivia Tui.
This trip is to the historic city of Boston, Massachusetts. It is open to all students enrolled in band, chorus, and color guard. Students will depart from Terryville High School on Friday, April 3rd, and return Sunday, April 5th. Hotel accommodations will be at the Embassy Suites, Waltham, outside of Boston.
This exciting trip will include a round-trip coach bus travel, a tour of Fenway Park, a visit to the Science Museum, a guided tour of the historic Freedom Trail, a dinner and dance cruise aboard the ship The Spirit of Boston, a tour of the Boston Tea Party ship and museum, a theater performance by the Blue Man Group, a visit to the New England Aquarium, an IMAX movie at the aquarium, a tour of the city by land and sea on the Boston Duck Tours, and a special public performance by our music students at Quincy Marketplace.
Breakfast and dinner is also included in this trip. The trip is offered through Destinations Unlimited. The price is $600 per student based on expected enrollment. Each student will have the opportunity to lower their costs through multiple fundraising events planned through the Friends of Music Association.
And I just also want to mention Destinations Unlimited is providing 4 chaperone spots free of charge. These spots will be reserved first for any staff required to provide student services. And that's all we have. Thank you.
All right. Any questions? All right. With that, I'll entertain a motion and a second to approve the field trip to Boston, Mass.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. Have fun.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Enjoy. Okay. Okay, so we can, okay. We have another presentation from Mrs. Parsons. Okay.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm here to speak to you tonight a little bit about some of the initiatives that are going on in district and give you an update on the instructional framework and social emotional learning. So at the beginning of the school year, we were able to visit with teachers these 2 important buckets of work. So with the instructional framework, which I'll show you a graphic of in just a moment, our theory of action here is that if we utilize this instructional framework to build teacher capacity and develop connected professional learning opportunities, it will result in the consistent use of high-impact instructional practices, resulting in increased student learning. What we found as we've been out in schools and working with teachers the past few years is that there's lots of great practices going on. And what we want to build is a system where these great practices are being implemented more consistently across the district. So we've developed this instructional framework, which is sort of the shell type graphic that you see on the left side of the slide. And what it is that in each lesson, we want teachers to activate the lesson. We want them to hook the learners, figure out, connect them to where they are in their learning sequence, talk about where they're going, figure out sort of where they are right now, what they know, and then launch into the present part of the lesson. In the present portion of the lesson, teachers will be clearly stating what the intended learning is for the day by stating a learning target. Like, I can recognize elements of the instructional framework. So then from that learning target, what teachers will do is they'll state it, they'll talk about purpose for a lesson, and then they'll go into demonstrating the new learning and giving students a chance to grapple with that. So that's the activate is the arrow into the red present. You'll see a big chunk of the circle is the green practice. So we really want students doing the work and practicing. And then a performance where we'll be checking in on how they're doing. At the heart of everything is the learning environment. That's the classroom culture, the climate, the expectations around behavior, the rapport with the teachers, and that's where we're naturally embedding the work we're doing with social emotional learning right there in the classrooms. Another piece you'll see around the outside is the feedback loop that gradually widens throughout the course of the lesson. And that is at the beginning of a lesson, a teacher's doing much more modeling, giving a little bit of feedback, and by the end, where the students are doing the majority of the work, the teacher is giving a lot more feedback to students. So what work are we doing with that framework this year? We rolled out that overview to staff in August at the professional development sessions we had, and we've been working with our admin team and our district data team to develop a look-for document. So those elements we talked about with the instructional framework, we have sort of like a checklist per se that we're using to go into classrooms, and they're observable statements. Did you see a learning target? Is it present? Is it posted? Is it referenced? Is it tied to standards? And is it lesson sized? So we've developed a look-for document that we'll use to monitor the implementation of the framework and to drive our ongoing PD. We want to work with teachers to really develop capacity around utilizing this framework. So we're tying the look-for document and the instructional framework into our instructional rounds work that we're doing at each building. And throughout the course of this year we're really focusing on that beginning part of the circle. If you go back, we're really looking at the activate, present, and the learning environment. So that this year, behind the scenes, we'll be developing what exactly are we looking for in practice and performance so that we can roll that out next year. And so the goal here is to enhance all of the Tier 1 instruction across the district. Hand in hand with that, like I mentioned before, at the core of that instructional framework is that social emotional learning. And this is our third year of a focus that we have on making sure that all of our staff and our students are incorporating the social emotional learning into their daily practices. So we have a district steering committee that is supported by building level teams. So we have a district team that comes up with a 3-year plan, and they're developing some of the professional learning behind the scenes and monitoring the work by giving out a survey, analyzing a survey, but a lot of the work is being done at each building level. So this may be a repeat for some people, but what we want to review here is that what we have is a framework. So there's a CASEL framework. CASEL is a national organization that supports social emotional learning across the nation. And so they have the 5 buckets that you see in the wheel on the right side of the slide, and that the elements of social emotional learning are self-management, self-awareness, responsible decision-making, relationship skills, and social awareness. These are all things that really need to be in place in order for our students to learn and grow and develop as individuals and within our school society and society as a whole. So within that framework, we're utilizing the ruler approach. And that's where you see the acronym going down the left side of the slide. We want students and staff and everybody that we come into contact with to be able to recognize, understand, and label emotions and be able to express and regulate their own emotions. So within that ruler approach, there are 4 core anchor tools. You see them going from left to right. There's the charter. The charter is really another way of talking about the rules of the classroom, something we've been doing for a really long time. But when we launch the conversation with students, we talk about not like, don't talk out of turn, don't get out of your seat. We frame it in a really positive way, and we say, how do you want to feel in school? Well, if you want to feel safe, if you want to feel honored, if you want to feel respected, then they naturally get to those behaviors of, then we should let one person talk at a time. And they come to agreements in terms of we will statements. So that tool was rolled out to staff last year along with the mood meter, and it's being utilized with students this year. And I think we've heard our reps talk about that before and how well it's going in school, in the classrooms. It's not a lot of time that's ever taken out of instruction. It's just really something we're trying to meld into what we do. So the mood meter is a tool that has the 4 quadrants that varies in terms of positivity, levels of positivity, and levels of energy. And so you see the red quadrant. We talk about you're in the red when you have high energy and not high positivity. So emotions like angry might be in red. Whereas in green, there's low energy and positivity, like calm might be in green. So those are the 2 tools that we have with staff. This is the second year with staff, first year with students. What we're working on rolling out with staff this year, then we'll bring to students next year, is the meta moment. So when you are in that red quadrant and you need to adjust yourself because you need to now go take a test in your next period, what do you need to do? You need to stop, you need to take a breath, you need to picture, like, what would my best self look like right now? And think about strategies to get yourself where you need to be. And the blueprint. Blueprint is really a framework for problem solving. We talk about PBIS, restorative practices. We talk about solving problems with students. There are small conflicts, big conflicts, that even though we're trying to be positive and reinforce all of that self-awareness and relationship building, there will be conflict. So when there's conflict, we're trying to teach a mental framework that, what was the problem? How did that person feel? How did you feel? What do you think they can do? What can you do? How can we come back to agreement? So these are all ways to approach things that we see in school every day. So what's the work with social emotional learning this year? I think I shared with you that we're implementing the charter and mood meter. We are offering professional development for staff around meta moment and blueprint. We've revised the survey that we administer to students and also to staff, and we'll be administering that this month. And it's really talking about how is the implementation of these tools going. And it's really embedded in everything that we do. We do have small pieces that are Tier 1 instruction. We've been using Second Step for a long time in our K-8 classrooms. And this year in 9th grade health, which is a new course that we have to offer for the new graduation requirements, they'll be focusing on introducing some of the tools too for kids who haven't had them previously. So over the course of the year, one of the things that you'll see is we'll be developing Tier 1. So what I've talked about this thus far for social emotional learning is just the things we're embedding in day-to-day practice. So what I'm not talking about is students who have identified needs already with their own personal social emotional learning. And so we do have students who tend to bubble up a little bit more. Those are students who may need ongoing Tier 2 and 3 supports. So what we're talking about this year is how do we develop strategies for classroom teachers to use with these students, that's the Tier 1 strategies, and what supports do we have available to students who may be bubbling up over time. So what does it look like in action? This is my favorite part that I get to show you. What you see all the way on the right is the Terryville High School Charter. And so we surveyed staff and students, said, how do you want to feel in school? And the size of the word, this is called a wordle. The size of the word is in proportion to the amount of responses for that word. So you see happy is very clearly the largest word there. We had the most responses that staff and students want to feel happy. Some of those other larger words are calm, excited, energized, safe. And then the list below are the actions that everyone is agreeing to take so that those feelings can occur. What we see on the very left is a morning meeting, a greeting that was presented to 5th grade students. And it just says, how is everyone feeling this morning? Use your mood meter to find your emotion, write your feeling word on a sticky note, and put it on the mood meter. So it's just one way that we're opening our classrooms in the morning. And you see even another representation in that center column where children are checking in or they're developing their vocabulary and learning words for emotions in the different quadrants. So you can see that these two tools are being embedded into daily practice. So that is what we've been up to behind the scenes, really, with our professional development and professional learning. And I know Dr. Semmel will be providing you with a mid-year update, and you'll hear about some of these things and how we're doing, but that was just to give you a little bit of more life behind them.
Any comments or questions for Mrs. Parsons?
Thanks.
All right. So now we have Mr. Henderson talk about unspent encumbrances.
Yes, at its August 2019 meeting, the board passed a motion requesting that the remaining balance from the fiscal year 2018-19 budget of $138,053.24 be transferred to the sinking fund by the Board of Finance. At their meeting on November 21st, next Thursday, the superintendent and I will be requesting that of the Board of Finance. But also, as was done last year, we are asking the Board of Ed also request the Board of Finance transfer any unliquidated encumbrances to date to the sinking fund. So I have the recommended motion that the Board of Education request that the $31,282.77 in unliquidated fiscal year 2018-19 encumbrances as of October 31st, 2019 be transferred to the sinking fund by the Board of Finance.
So moved.
Second on that?
Second.
Discussion on the motion? No? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion carries. All right. Item number 8, superintendent's update.
Great, thank you. Just to go off what Mr. Hendrickson said, so it is next Thursday. I believe Mr. Kilduff will have us on his agenda to go there. So we'll be bringing both those requests that you've made for the sinking fund, plus just a reminder that you also passed a motion to change the sinking fund request. So you had asked us to go there. You had changed the number from 1% to 2%. So just as a reminder, that's another piece that we're going to there. They have to approve that if it's allowable. So the board adopted it, but they have to agree to that as well. So I didn't want you to be surprised by that because it has been a little bit of time since the board approved that. So continuing with the update, I do want to congratulate everyone on the recent elections. Look forward to working with Mr. Seaman as the board chair and working with everybody together as a board as we continue to challenge, prepare, and inspire all of our kids, as our mission statement says. So looking forward to that. Winter weather, this is the time where I just kind of remind everybody about how winter weather works as it's getting really cold out there. I do have the dubious distinction of waking up really early, especially as weather's coming in. So I will make the decision, and I'm talking to all of our fans out there on Facebook who are watching us as well. I try to make the decision by 5:30, no later than 5:30. I do work with Jim Schultz from the DPW. He's out there with the guys plowing, and they're connected to the police department. I work with Jim Mazon, who's here making sure that our buildings are ready to be opened, and there's no problems here. And we do have a local weather forecaster who works with many superintendents in the area, so we talk collectively about kind of the local weather. Because here versus just a little bit further into the valley can be very different. So we'll make the decision, and then if I'm changing school in some way, either late arrival or canceling, I make my 5 a.m. or 5:15 phone call to parents, staff members, send out the email blast also, and we put it on Facebook. So the message gets out there very quickly, I think, to people. So we'll continue with the same process that we've been using. And then the only thing I also want to point out is that you have a budget memo that I emailed you, but also there was a hard copy placed at your station today. It goes through our normal process for having our budget adopted. So I just want to make sure that people started to see that calendar, because there's dates that go all the way into January and February. And those are important things, especially around the workshop dates in January. So I just want to make sure everybody was aware. If there were to be any changes, we'd have to kind of discuss that in the near future, but that's been our current process, and we wanted to make sure that came out. So that's all I have for now.
Okay. Brings us to student representatives. Taylor?
Currently, we have 9 students with Mr. Schumann on the close-up trip to Washington, D.C. And I actually heard today from Jacob Zappone, one of the students going, that they got to see and meet Nancy Pelosi. They were at the Capitol today during the impeachment thing. I forgot what it's called, it slipped my brain. But also the staff, on a different note, the staff infection ban performed on October 25th and made over $1,000 for the close-up trip. It's crazy. And then the boys cross country won Berkshire League for the first time in like 33 years. Chris DeForest won overall. He won the Class S as Class S champion, and he also placed 11 in states. That's what I got for you.
Okay, so homecoming week is November 18th to the 22nd, and the homecoming dance is on the 22nd. It's a Friday. The tickets are now being sold to students for $20. And in addition, there's a PTSA fundraiser for aftergrad at Shoegates on December 5th, and they will be getting 10% of the cut for the whole entire day.
The THS Band and Color Guard participated in UMass Band Day at the University of Massachusetts, along with other high school bands in New England, to perform at halftime during the football game. The Harvest Pack is December 9th at 7:30 p.m. in the Terryville High School cafeteria. It is an event where we are able to package thousands of meals to send around the world. And the Drama Club has changed productions from Frenzied Fairy Tales to A Rented Christmas, where the audience follows the story of a wealthy man with no family who goes to a rent shop and asks the owner to rent a Christmas. The shop owner does her best to fulfill his request. The performances are December 5th at 6:30 p.m. and December 7th at 2 and 6:30 p.m.
Okay. Good job. All right. Now we'll open it up to public comment. We're going to limit to 3 minutes per speaker. Anybody have anything to say?
Kathy Cascas, for Aero Drive Terryville. I don't know if I have to do that. I am a liaison for the Leo Club, and I don't always get a chance to come here and tell you about what these young people in the high school do. But on election day, we asked the Leos if they would like to participate in the election, and we were going to have new computers this year for the first time, and a lot of our poll workers are older. So the Leos, I had 8 volunteer, and they even got up at 4 o'clock in the morning and came at 5 o'clock. And they did such a terrific job. I had to come here tonight just to tell you. And we have one here, Tyler Mandela, who stayed from 5 o'clock in the morning until 9:30 at night. And they helped the poll workers with the computer, and we had a night that we were practicing. And the Leos came in, and they went on the computer. 2 minutes later, they were through. And then the adults went on, and they were having trouble, and no one even said anything to our Leos. They went up and helped. And I can't say how proud I am of this high school and these students, and I had to come here and just say it, because after the election, I asked if they learned anything, because one of the reasons I wanted them there was that a town election is really different from the presidential or the governor, and I don't think that the students realize that sometimes the town election affects their lives more than some other. And I think they did learn a lot, and the adults coming in had all good things to say about our young students being there. So I wanted the board to know this. I couldn't be prouder, and I just wanted to say thank you to them and to let the whole board know the kind of students we have in the Terryville High School. And this year's Leos is, and I just want to, I've been talking to Mr. Perkins, who's the advisor, and he's wonderful. But having the meeting after school, a lot of Leos are coming to me and saying they have jobs, or they don't have a ride, or they're in sports, or whatnot. And we had the best Leo club in the whole state of Connecticut. The things our Leos did was by far better, and Dick Foote can agree with me on that. And I just don't want to, if after school sometimes, get some of these young people that would be involved. If that's a hardship, I'd like to maybe see if we could do something about it. So I just wanted to speak on that, but I just have to say that Terryville is very fortunate to have the group of students we have, and the teachers and everyone. I want to thank them.
Thank you. Any other public comment? No, I asked if there's any other public comment.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. So I was just wondering if there was
Name and address.
Jamie Furland, 22 Whitney Court.
Thank you.
I was just wondering if there was any more discussion on the NASDAQ report. I know that the public attendance was very low, and I felt like it wasn't publicized as it should have been. And as my husband and I were reading through the report, option 5 was very concerning to us, and I just didn't know if there was any other conversation, talk. I mean, I feel like it's not as publicized and as out there as it should be.
Since I wasn't part of that, I'll refer to the chair or the board if you want to answer that.
I can even talk to you a little bit about that. We had 2 public meetings for that that were, I mean, I guess publicized to the point that there were people that were there.
Okay.
So we did have opportunities for the public to speak to us twice so far on that. But we are nowhere near a final decision, so if that makes you feel any better about that, that is something that we are going to continue to work on, and perhaps we can put together another kind of public forum so that we can have another opportunity. I would just say, I would encourage you to maybe look for ways to know things like that. I know Facebook is one way that a lot of people hear about things like this, for example. So
that's the only way that you publicize is through social media?
There's email.
No, there was emails
Okay.
through the schools, things
Okay.
like that. But I'm just saying there's other venues, other ways of finding out how we're having
Right.
these meetings.
Right. Okay.
So I'm sure we can have another public
We can,
meeting.
yeah, we can certainly ask our
Yeah.
superintendent to get that together.
Yeah. But I would, the closer we work on it, the closer we get to a informational.
So is it still option 1 and option 5 are what you guys are discussing, or?
Sure, go ahead.
So the board met in a retreat after the public discussion, just to talk about which options they thought made the most sense for this community. So they did essentially eliminate options 2, 3, and 4. They could always be brought back to the table if they wanted to. And they've asked that my team and I take a look at option 1 and option 5 and try to find the pros and the cons and start trying to get into more details about especially what option 5 might look like around athletics and the students coming in, so we could get a better look at what that is. So right now we've been engaged in trying to see, pull as much as that we can get together information and bring that back to the board. That's what we've been charged to do. They've also asked me to work with the board chair and our mayor and connect with Thomaston Public Schools, their first selectman and board chair, and at least start having a conversation about regionalization, because it makes sense to have all these conversations collectively instead of like
Closing a school
in
and then
isolation.
redistricting a few years later, right?
So that's where we're at. So the marching orders that I had was to try to bring something back to the board as once we had it better formulated. We've got the bus company looking at what the bus kind of would look like, that kind of stuff. So as Ms. Gillespie said, we're nowhere close to making a decision, at least as far as I can tell from the board. The board makes the ultimate decision on this. In terms of communication, all we have is emailing all of our staff and parents, the Facebook, which if it gets heavily shared when people have
When a
interest.
decision is made and then it's too late.
So
Yeah.
we used all that to try to get folks out to that meeting,
Okay.
but it was unfortunately,
Low attendance.
it wasn't well attended.
So I would like to add that I was there also just as a citizen, and typically, the board has a tough job, and it was poorly represented by the parents and the people in the community. And, whatever decision is made, there's going to be people that are happy about it, there's going to be people that are not happy about it.
Right.
But my viewpoint's a little different. If you don't come, then you don't have a right to complain. So
100%
I
agree.
encourage everybody out there, get the word out. Come. I know Candace was very vocal there, and I'm sure will continue to do so. And we encourage that. We want that.
Right.
So
I don't know. I just have a soft spot in my heart also for the teachers, that if their school is going to be closed in 2 years, like, they're going to be afraid for their jobs, and I don't know. Option 5, in my opinion, is just, it's not going to work out.
okay. Thank you.
Hi, Candace Telke, 82 Ridge Road. I have a few things that I want to talk about, and I'll try and stay to my 3 minutes.
Hurry
up. First, I want to thank Melissa Johnson for her time on the Board of Ed. It's been amazing as a chairperson, and I appreciate that. I appreciate all your hard work, so thank you very much. And all of the other board members, you've put a lot of time and effort in. As a PTA board person and as a parent in this community, we really do actually hear you and know what you're doing, even though we don't always show up. Some of us always show up. But if you don't, we do know you're out there and what you're doing, so we appreciate that. Secondly, I would like to piggyback on you a little bit. I was the only person, the only non-board member that went to the meeting on October 16th, which was the Board of Ed's retreat, which was a very difficult meeting for me to attend because you can't speak at all, not even a peep. So it was really hard, but it was also very eye-opening because I did get to learn a lot about what each board member thought about these different options and what their experiences were in the community. I didn't realize, some people had been through our school system. Some people didn't even have kids that went through our school system. Some people don't even have kids. So it's very interesting to see the differences that your board makes up, and I can appreciate that for what it is. So that was my piggyback on you, and I will be at whatever you do as far as that goes. My question to the board is, how do you feel the election day went at the Lyceum? And are we considering moving it back into the school system, and will our children still have school on that day? It was a big, tumultuous conversation in my house.
I don't think that's up to the Board of Education.
I know it's not. I wonder if the registrars would ask for your input on that.
Doubtful.
They don't have to.
Okay, so then my question is, and maybe this is my ignorance, so forgive me for the question, but if it is held at the Lyceum, which is not a school, would the kids then have school on that day?
I think we'd have to discuss that at a board and cross that bridge when we find that out.
And our calendars are set a certain amount of time in advance anyway, so
Yes.
Right.
it would have to be for the future if we made a change.
I realize that. I
We
just
would
wanted
never
to
really know
voice,
if they wanted to
just
use
wanted
the
to
school
voice my
2 years from
question,
now.
and I will voice my opinion that I think our children should be in school. So, any extra days that you want to give them. But I would also like to say that Plymouth Center did a Veterans Day ceremony this year, and it was beautiful. My father was involved in it, as he's an Army vet, and my husband, who is a Marine, was also involved in it. And they really made it special. And instead of the kids just going to school and their teachers teaching them about Veterans Day, they got to meet veterans. And I feel like that was really important for them. So.
Thank you. Any other public comment? No? Okay. Oh, here it comes.
Jerry Bourbon at 6 Fairmount Avenue. I need to give this to someone. I no longer need this anymore. I rot at emails.
Okay.
One less thing I have to look for. You guys have a good day. That's it. I'm done.
Okay. Right. Thank you. Any other public comment? All right, moving along to new business. Finance and operations report. I know that we didn't have, you spoke. You all set?
Just a quick thing he has, I think.
Well, we're basically on track with last year on expenditures on a percentage of the budget to date. There are no significant accounts that are in deficit, and It's proceeding pretty normally.
All right.
And just as per usual, we always forward our finances to the town. We usually talk about that at the finance and operations meeting, but as per usual, we'll still send that report to the town as well.
Okay.
Yes, the facilities report has been sent to the town.
You already sent it?
Yes.
Student achievement.
The next scheduled meeting is on Wednesday, January 8th, 2020, at 6 p.m. in the conference room at Central Office.
All right. All right. Board liaison reports. Anything from Harry S. Fisher?
Do you want to go back? There's a second public comment.
No, we had,
You edited it out? Because it's on.
Yeah, I don't have a public comment.
Okay, so they edited it out. It's not on mine. That's why I'm asking. Thank you.
All right. Harry S. Fisher?
That's me.
Okay.
Okay, so Harry S. Fisher actually had the superintendent at their meeting. He did a little presentation at the beginning about the community read that's coming up, so he will explain that later, but he did come to their meeting, which was nice. They voted in a new vice president. They did hold their trunk or treat with Plymouth Center PTA, and I heard it was a wild success, so I'm happy for them. They had great weather. They are working on a movie night. Their membership has increased like double this year, so I'm really excited for them. The rocket ship at the playground has been installed. That's awesome. Let's see, they had a Halloween celebration, and they had what they called a crazy hair, crazy outfit day instead of costumes, so they did that. The FRC is partnering with Fisher, and they're having Friday morning playgroups that's focusing on literacy. They also started a girl power group for the 5th graders. There is a literacy night, well, they just had a literacy night last week on the 4th from K to 2. And then they had their veteran celebration on Monday. Let's see. Oh, then this was nice. Some of the PTA people that went to the conference, which was in September, right? September we went. They got an autographed books from, the author is Jeff Natham, and they actually presented them to Mrs. Comiskey. So that was nice. And their next meeting is next week on the 19th at 7 o'clock. That's my report for Fisher.
Okay. Plymouth Center. Design.
So for Plymouth Center, they had 2 events since I last saw them. They had a fall book fair, which they said went fantastic, and teachers were happy, and parents helped a lot with it. So that's great to hear. They had a family feast at Jake's Wayback Burgers, said that went well. The upcoming events for them are a fundraiser pickup, which is Wednesday, November 20th from 2 to 6 p.m. They have a Spirit Wear fundraiser where they sell like t-shirts and other spirit stuff like that. November 18th to December 2nd, so it's through that whole time. They have a holiday craft night Friday, December 6th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. They have a holiday fair, which is multiple days. So they have it at the 10th, which is, well, December 10th, which is going to be from 4:30 to 6:30. And they're going to have it during recess from the 11th to the 13th at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. They are going to have a Barnes & Noble book fair and gift wrapping Thursday, December 19th. I guess there's no time decided for that yet, but there's plenty of time from now and then to figure that out. The principal was there, Sherry Turner, and she just made it a point to say that she's focusing a lot on parking lot safety post-school when students go home. She didn't say anything too specific about it other than she is looking on making it a little more smooth for students and parents, and just so she can know where everybody is at all times, and just it's a good thing to focus on safety over all else. So I liked hearing that from her. And that's about it.
Okay. Eli Terry.
At the middle school, we had a book fair that did fairly well this year. Normally it's not that well, but this year they did pretty well. They had open house. The PTA was able to raise enough money to have 1 new water fountain installed outside of the gym, which I heard that everything got approved, so hopefully that should be getting installed sometime soon. We're getting ready for the t-shirt fundraiser. We're looking for local businesses that want to sponsor the backs of the t-shirts. That would be $200. And we normally print off about 150 t-shirts that we give away for free. And we're also getting ready for the next roller skate night in February. And then for the Booster Club, we have the seat cushions in stock, which is perfect timing for the high school. They're a good sized cushion. They're the high school logo on it. So if any of your butts don't feel nice in these chairs, I can bring some in. They're $15 each.
I was thinking you have them tonight.
I know. I'll bring them the next meeting. It could be a nice Christmas present. Maybe the chair will buy them all for you. But if you go to any sporting events, please consider purchasing one of the cushions. All the winter sports are getting ready to start up. We have the Booster Club calendar. It's the 31 days of giveaway. It's a really nice calendar this year. Just about every day the item is about $50. All of the athletes are going to be selling those for the next week and a half. It's $5 a ticket, and the ticket stays in for all 31 days. If your name gets pulled, you win on that day. Cross country did amazing. They did really well. You guys had already talked about that. That's about it.
Okay. Terryville High School?
That's me. Terryville High School PTSA focuses on the after-grad party for our seniors every year to have a safe place for seniors to celebrate after their graduation. It is an overnight party. One of my children has already attended, another one will be attending. So it's a great thing that they focus their energy on for the entire year. We have a fundraiser about once a month, so I think that what I'll do is I'll highlight the fundraiser for the following month. So this is a great one because everybody can do this. On Thursday, December 5th, you're going to go to Shoot Gates for dinner, and they're going to donate 10% of their proceeds to the after-grad fundraiser for our seniors to have a safe after-graduation party. So that's Thursday. I don't see you putting me in calendars. Hold on, I'll wait. Thursday, December 5th, Shoot Gates. See you there.
All right. SEPTA?
I'll take SEPTA.
Okay.
We had our business meeting this morning, and our next full meeting will be next Thursday. I believe the date is the 21st at 7 p.m. We have some upcoming workshops that we're in planning right now, IEP 101. We are also planning on doing a workshop on tiered interventions, transitioning into special education, and we have a paint night coming up on January 18th.
Okay. Does anyone currently represent King?
I'm going to do it because I have some information, but we don't. So
Okay, you have
yeah,
that
and I'll
thought.
go right into advance because I have that too.
All right, we'll talk after because Melissa was interested in that, correct?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, good.
So our CABE convention is this weekend, but I just wanted to let everybody know that our board is getting a recognition, level 2, the CABE Board Distinction Award, and there's only 9 other districts that have that, so we're within the 10. So we will be having our picture taken right after lunch, so Mr. Chairman, I will let you know the time so you can be there, but I have that information right here. I also wanted to go back. I mentioned this the night that Karen wasn't here, but I wanted to go back. Karen actually got a certification education membership distinction from CABE because she had over 20 credits. And they did send me that, so I wanted to make sure that everybody knew. This is what we get. I have 19, and Karen has over 20. So every year that you go, you actually almost get your report card from them with your credits. So yes, Karen did get a distinction award. So congratulations. The Lord. So that takes me right into, I do Ed Advance, but Ed Advance and CABE are doing something together. I did miss the Ed Advance meeting last week. I was in New York, but CABE and Ed Advance is doing a legislative breakfast December 12th here in Plymouth at the new partnership school from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., and everybody is welcome.
I'm sorry, Melissa, when was that again?
You mean the date?
December
Yeah.
12th.
The 12th, yeah. 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
At the new school?
At the new school, yep.
7 to what?
9.
Yeah. So you could probably.
7 a.m.
Before everybody goes to work, you're going to have breakfast
I'm gonna
there.
go 7.
Yeah,
And
7
I
a.m.
think Mr. Shower is going to try to make sure that our representatives are present and accounted
I'll
for.
talk to him Friday.
All right. Okay, district safety meeting. Mr. Showers.
Well, I went to my first one. Very interesting. A lot of talk about security. I don't know how much I can divulge on that.
Not much.
Yeah, I know. So, and all the schools had their fire drills. That's about the only thing I can talk about. And the next meeting is January 8th.
Okay, great. All right. Now we'll open that up to board comments. So,
I just want to take a second to recognize Melissa Johnson, who was chair for a good amount of time, doing a job that I certainly wouldn't want to do myself. I know we call it a job, we don't get paid. But I know how much work she put into being the chair, and out of all the one-on-one conversations I had with her, I can say for a fact that her #1 issue was advocating for the kids of the school district. I know for a fact that she cared about the kids more than anything else with her time as chair. So I just wanted to acknowledge her and say thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you.
Melissa? Nothing? Cindy?
No, Kathy, thank you for acknowledging the children. My daughter was one of them that did 5 a.m. till 9 p.m. And the thing that she said was, she didn't realize so many of her teachers live in town. So maybe she thinks that they live in the schools on top of it. I'm not sure. But it was really, I think that it was a really good mixture. You know, everyone coming in from town, seeing the kids, and the kids seeing the people in town. She didn't realize how many people she knew just by them coming in and like, oh, you know, so I think that that's like a really good opportunity. She's still waiting for the check. She asked when that was coming in, but
Yeah, I didn't think that the addresses today.
yeah, but it was a really good experience, so she enjoyed it.
Michelle? No. Karen? No. Mr.
I'd like to thank Melissa for making my first 2 years on the board easier. But I'd also do a little Sunday school lesson here. On any of the boards and committees which I've ever served on, I've been neither a Republican or a Democrat. We're here to serve the people of Plymouth, more specifically the children.
Melissa? No. Okay. Great. No. Okay. Well, with that, the next board meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, December 11th, 2019 at 7 p.m. right here in the cafeteria at Taraville High School. With nothing else, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?